Theresa May's cabinet was in open warfare today, led by the minister whose job it is to enforce discipline. In an extraordinary interview, Chief Whip Juli said the Prime Minister had made a massive, strategic mistake by failing to pivot to a softer Brexit after losing her majority in the 2017 general election. His backing for a soft Brexit is likely to widen Tory splits as independent-minded MPs prepare to hold a second day of votes in the Commons to choose a Plan B to replace Mrs May's blueprint. It is almost unprecedented for any chief whip to break the omerta of the whip's office by giving an interview because their job as Commons enforcer is carried out in private. Stinging attack, Chief Whip Julian Smith Rex features, yet, speaking to the BBC's Laura Kunsberg, he not only discussed policy but went on to criticise the cabinet for giving the worst example of ill discipline in British political history. Cabinet members were quick to hit back. Chief Secretary to the Treasury Liz Truss, who has ambitions for the Tory leadership, told BBC Radio 4's Today programme, "It's not clear to me that going softer is the way to command support." On Mr Smith's decision to put the cabinet on his naughty step, she said, "It's difficult to compare cabinets through the ages." But Ms Truss conceded, "There are differences of opinion, I won't deny that." MPs are to vote tonight on the next steps for Brexit. Getty Images. In key developments today, senior sources revealed to The Standard that Attorney General Geoffrey Cox has briefed cabinet ministers that the government would be legally bound if a Plan B for a soft Brexit is picked by Parliament and backed by a special bill that MPs intend to rush through Parliament on Wednesday and Thursday. Support appeared to be growing for a customs union in the cross-party debates and votes being led by Sir Oliver Letwin to choose an alternative to Mrs May's thrice-rejected withdrawal deal. Hardline Eurosceptics and the DUP showed no signs of weakening their opposition to Mrs May's deal, and warned that the PM faces a fourth defeat if she attempts to put it to a vote again. Brexit stockpiling caused by fears of Britain crashing out helped fuel a jump in manufacturing last month, figures revealed. Ms Truss claimed Mrs May's deal could be modified to get through the Commons, although she did not say how. The intervention by Mr Smith is the most dramatic breakdown in traditional cabinet discipline yet. Digital Minister Margot James commented on Twitter, "Absolutely right too, although unusual to hear from a chief whip what he said was the harsh reality that so many hard Brexiteers need to hear." Well said at Julian Smith. Mr Smith is one of the most senior figures to admit publicly that ministers might have pursued the wrong strategy after the 2017 snap general election. He conceded that from then on, Mrs May could not deliver the harder version of Brexit she had championed and should have changed course. "The thing that people forget is that the Conservative Party went to get a majority in order to deliver Brexit, and failed to get a majority," he said. "The government as a whole probably should just have been clearer on the consequences of that. The parliamentary arithmetic would mean that this would be inevitably a softer type of Brexit." While the strategy was apparently misjudged, Mr Smith said he was frustrated by MPs who don't see the light as clearly as I do. Monday, April 1st, MPs take back control of Commons business from the government for a second round of indicative votes on alternatives to the Prime Minister's deal. It could be the moment in which they start to whittle down the options to one or two proposals around which a majority of MPs could coalesce. Tuesday, April 2nd, Theresa May chairs the weekly meeting of the Cabinet in Downing Street, providing an opportunity for senior ministers to take stock of the latest developments. It could also be the first opportunity for Mrs May to bring back her deal for a fourth time if she thinks she has the numbers, and if Speaker John Bercow will let her. Wednesday, April 3rd, currently penciled in for a third round of indicative votes in the Commons if Mrs May still has not got her deal through and there is no majority for any of the alternatives. Thursday, April 4th, by-election in Labour held Newport West. Wednesday, April 10th, an emergency summit of EU leaders in Brussels which will consider any request by Mrs May for a further extension to the Article 50 withdrawal period, which will mean the UK participating in European elections. Friday, April 12, the deadline for Mrs. May to agree a way forward with the EU if she still has not got her deal through or see Britain leave in a no-deal Brexit. Wednesday, May 22, still Mrs. May's target date for leaving before the start of elections to the European Parliament, but only if she has a deal first. Mrs. May's deal has now flopped 3 times in the Commons, losing most recently on Friday by 58 votes, with 34 Tory rebellions. Mr. Smith, whose interview will be shown in a documentary about Brexit tonight on the BBC, said a lack of discipline extended all the way to the cabinet, with ministers sitting around the cabinet table trying to destabilize her, Mrs. May. "This is, I think, the worst example of ill discipline in cabinet in British political history," he said. Former Tory MP Heidi Allen commented on Mr. Smith's argument for a softer Brexit. "He's not wrong. A few of us have been saying it and saying it." But Ms. Truss sought to counter Mr. Smith's call for a softer Brexit by arguing, "The will of Parliament so far has not been in favour of a customs union. I think the answer lies in modifications to the Prime Minister's deal to be able to get that to have support." The minister, who is expected to stand for the Tory leadership, told Today her preference would be for a Canada-style trade deal in future rather than a soft Brexit, which she did not think would pass. The right-winger added, "I think that we are well prepared for no deal. I don't have any fear of no deal." On the cabinet squabbling, she said, "Of course, this is an incredibly testing time. It's a time when we have got a minority government." Labour MP Stephen Pound said, "The Downing Street naughty step is clearly big enough to accommodate Julian Smith as well as the people he has sent there." Tory MP Andrew Bridgen said, "The Chief Whip was trying to make the facts fit the situation at a later date." In further Tory infighting, Transport Secretary Chris Grayling told the Daily Telegraph that the next Tory leader should be someone of experience and resilience to get us through the immediate future, a remark seen as a shot at younger candidates such as Matt Hancock, the Health Secretary, whose odds have narrowed sharply. More about Brexit, Theresa May, Julian Smith.